college, me and 4 friends moved into this old townhouse in the Georgetown section of Washington, D.C. We named, or affectionately called, the summer house and our summer selves One Hot Disaster, because the house was an architectural disaster at 100 years old, and we were human disasters at 22 years old. And so we lived there, and it was a great summer. During the day, we just worked at various Georgetown restaurants, and by nights, we threw parties. And One Hot Disaster was perfect for throwing parties. It was an actual house, not a dorm room, and best of all, it was already sort of in shambles, so spilling a couple additional liters of Miller Lite on the floor wasn't gonna ruin anything significantly. But there was one drawback to the house, and that was the basement. If you had added a single metal chair and like a flickering light bulb, it would have been the setting for every single serial killer movie ever created. It was dark, it smelled really weird, it was like half above ground and half below ground with these slit windows facing the alleyway. A bonus feature was the cool rock circle straight out of The Ring that no one ever got close enough to like figure out what was going on with it. And that was the basement. And the coolest part about the basement for us was that both the lock and the light switch were on the outside of the basement door. So that meant that every time one of us would go down to do our laundry, another one of us would run up, slam the door shut, lock him in there, and shut the lights off, causing the person doing their laundry to freak the fuck out, because this place is terrifying. And it became like a recurring prank that we would play during parties. You know, people would drink their beers, and a couple beers in, deep into the night, someone would, you know, go down, and every time there was some new DC bro that would go down there on a dare, and he would end up getting locked in the basement in the dark for you know, a little bit. But things kind of took a turn in July for us. We were watching TV when my friend Mario said, "Oh boy, I think you need to check this out." Mario had Googled the address of our house, and what he had discovered was a Washington Post article that was an interview with one of DC's oldest residents who had grown up in the house in which we now resided. And she was fondly recalling the time that her and her father were laying bricks in the basement and had unearthed 6 skeletons. This was news to us. To make matters worse, she, you know, kind of then went on to explain how they had unearthed the skeletons and just casually reburied them in the alleyway outside of the house. So that all of those heebie-jeebies I was getting while doing laundry is because I'm at eye level with a bunch of fucking reburied mystery skeletons from God knows when. Okay, so this wasn't welcome news to us, but we were sort of a make lemons into spiked lemonade crowd, and we thought, hey, it's a lot of fun to lock our friends into the basement, into our spooky basement, even in the best of times. But once, you know, we know that it's actually haunted, how much more fun could this possibly be, right? So a couple weeks later, I come home from work, it's late, and my friend Joe, who's sitting back here tonight, was sitting alone in the living room, illuminated by a single lamp, sipping a Bailey's and ice. And he said, "Sarah, there's something in the basement that I want you to know about before you go down there and you find it for yourself." She said, "Oh boy, Joe, that's a pretty creepy thing of you to say. What is it?" He said, "Well, it's about the size of Mario, but it's in a duffel bag." Jesus Christ, okay. It turns out though that Joe had not murdered and dismembered Mario. He'd done something way cooler, which is that Joe was a fine art student, and apparently for like a couple months earlier, he had made a full-size plaster cast of Mario for a sculpture project. It was perfect. So he has this sculpture, like full life-size sculpture of our friend in this position, coming up out of the ground, and it's covered in this like wood dark veneer that sort of blends into the darkness but also reflects light. So AKA, if you want to scare the shit out of your friends in your scary skeleton basement, this is perfect. This is the thing. So we go downstairs and we install it carefully underneath the stairs to the basement. And during our next party that weekend was huge. Tons of people there. You know, the drinks are flowing, the summer jams are jamming, friends are friendsing. Of course, you know, deep into the night, people start saying, "I bet you can't spend 5 minutes in that scary, spooky basement downstairs. You can't even do it for 5 minutes." And we had been responsible hosts, and so we had notified people of the slight skeleton issue in the basement, but had left out details about the art installation. And so we had this great friend, Mark. He's a really good guy. He's happy and in a wonderful place right now. And he knows, he's been to parties all summer. So he's like, guys, I can go down. I'm gonna go down in the basement. I'm gonna spend 5 whole minutes down in that basement. It's not even gonna be a thing. Because he knows, he's seen us a million times lock people down there. So he just takes it step by step by step by step, gets to the bottom and turns around as if to say okay, now you're gonna slam the door. And we just see him drop his beer, eyes go wide, and he starts screaming because he's caught sight of this camouflaged monster emerging from the depths of this terrifying basement. And he runs up the stairs and starts slamming on the door. And we're not total dicks, so we let him in pretty quickly. And because he's a really great guy, he didn't punch any of us in the face, which was super cool of him to do. Yeah, and so faux Mario stayed underneath the stairs for the whole summer. I don't think I did laundry for the remainder of our time there. And within a couple, months, we all had to move on to different and complete futures, except for this plaster Mario, which we left hanging on a coat hanger in the back of a closet as a sort of welcome gift for the next batch of kids that was going to move in.